Hello. Today I'm going to show you how to record yourself reading a passage for your students using Audacity. Now my Audacity is a little bit older, so yours may look a little bit different now, but it should work the same. We've got our usual buttons up here, pause and all that. I don't use pause much because when you're paused, you can't actually do anything, at least that I've noticed, that I've been able to do. So I usually just use play and stop. Of course, we don't have anything until we record, right? Now, before recording, I always make sure that my microphone and everything is set up okay. And so you can see here it is, so I'm just going to get that out of the way. Now I have my reading here. I'm going to read just an introduction, a paragraph here. I won't read the whole thing. This isn't really something I would this isn't a thing I would read to my students, but I don't know about copyright for the things that I am, using with my students. So I just have something the copyright I know about. So at any rate, here we have Audacity. I'm just going to hit record, and you can see it's recording. Don't worry about pauses. That's the key takeaway today is pausing is fine because you can cut it out very easily later. Okay, so I'm going to go to my reading now, and introduction. I'm reading right here, this area here. Let me begin by explaining the asterisks in the title. Obviously, this book is not every. Oh no, I coughed. That's fine. Pause. I start at the beginning of the previous sentence, right? Or that sentence. Obviously, this book is not actually every teacher's guide to technology. Many teachers already know more than me about technology. Blah, 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 blah. Finish your reading. Okay? Again, if you make a mistake, just pause, leave a blank so you can find it, right? When you're cutting this up, when you're editing it. When you're done, just go and hit stop. Not record, stop. Okay, and now you can see all this in here, and you got your thing. Go back to the beginning here. Okay, so click here somewhere. Just left click to bring this. I don't know what they call it, but the line here. That's where it will start playing. So I'm going to start here, and you can see it's recording. Don't worry about pause. Okay, now I hit stop. Like I said, I don't use pause very much, but maybe I didn't say that. I don't use pause very much. Okay, stop is easier. If I hit play again, it'll start from where that line was. It won't start from here. That's the difference. Okay, usually I don't need that. I usually don't need pause. At any rate, the first thing I like to do, because you're cutting it out, right, but you want to make sure to get rid of it, is I just select some of this in the beginning here, and you can see there's a little bit of stuff in there even when I'm not talking. That's like background noise maybe. If you have some constant background noise, you want to get rid of that. And so we're going to go to Effect and Noise Reduction. Okay, I'm going to cancel for just to let you know, I left clicked and dragged to do that. Okay, and you can see I've selected an area. So I'm going to go to Noise Reduction. And the first time you're going to get Noise Profile. So click on that. Okay, and then Control A to select the whole thing. So now with the whole thing selected, or if you're mixing stuff, you might have just one part you want to do. You could do that too. You could apply it just here if you wanted to. Okay. Usually I have the whole thing. I read one passage and then I do the whole thing. So I just Control A. And we're going to redo noise reduction. If you want to, you can just click this. I'm not that trusting. I want to make sure it was done correctly. So I go down to noise reduction and click OK. These numbers, I think they're the default. I set this up years ago. Just check yours and play with what works for you. See, play with it and see what works for you. These work for me. Okay? And if, like me, like today, we don't have very much background noise, but maybe you have a fan or, a computer, your computer's fan is loud, you might need this. But just click OK, and it'll apply it to the whole thing. Okay, now the next steps, I do that first always because I'm going to cut out these areas that have, silence, right? I'm going to select this and hit delete. But doing it, reducing noise after that is more difficult because you need space, you need some blank space with just the background noise to get the noise profile, right? So I do that first, right? Now you can either continue with the effects to make it sound better, or you can start cutting out the stuff you don't need, whichever way you want to do it. Since we're here, I'll do the effects. So our next effect is compressor. And again, make sure you have all of it selected, right? Control A. Effect, the compressor. And again, I believe these are the defaults. Okay. And then after the compressor, we're going to do, where is it? Oh no, it's up here. Bass and treble. Okay. This is optional. You don't need to do this. I do it because I think it makes my voice sound a little bit better. It's not a huge change. It's not turning it into like, hello, I'm a famous DJ. You know, nothing like that. But it does make it, I think, a little bit better. But if you have a higher pitched voice and that's just your voice and you want to keep it, then you don't need to do this. Again, I think these are the default. I just hit apply and then close and we're good. Okay, now this next one, the limiter, for me it's down here, plugins 1 to 15 and limiter. Make sure it says hard limit. Okay, and again, I'm pretty sure these are the defaults. Okay, and then final one is normalize. Okay, normalize, there it is. Again, I think these are the defaults. Play with it. If yours are different, just play with it and see how it works. Okay, that was a big effect, right? All right, so then now we've done that's the effects that I do just to make it sound better. You know, sometimes the mic's a little low, and the normalize especially makes it a little bit louder for students. It just sounds better. Okay, you don't really need to do all of these, especially if you're in a hurry. But you can see it took me, what, 2 minutes to do that? At any rate, this next part is more important. We're getting rid of the stuff we don't need. Okay, so, and you can see it's recording. Don't worry about pauses. That's the key takeaway today. Okay, so I know all of this here I don't need. I'm going to select it and just hit the delete key. See? Simple. Pausing is fine because you can cut it. Jump up here and see. And introduction. Okay. So I said end introduction there, so I'm going to go back a little bit. Now. And introduction. So I'm going to go to my reading now. Okay, so go to my reading now. I don't need any of this. Delete. And introduction. I'm reading right here. Okay, probably want to get rid of the I'm reading right here thing. And introduction. Let's see how we get here. Let me. So you still don't need that. So get rid of some of that. Let me begin by explaining the asterisk in the title. Obviously, this book is not every... Okay, so I know that I started about 6 was when I was reading that sentence, right? And then around 9 was where I coughed. So I'm going to go back and just double check. Obviously, this book is not every... Okay, so I know that this part here I want to delete. And there's a bit of space here, but that's fine. I can get rid of that later. I just want to double check I did the right thing. Title. That's fine. Pause. I start at the beginning of the previous sentence, right? So, or that sentence. Obviously, this... So you can see the pause there again. I'm going to pull the scroll bar back a little bit. So basically everything here, see, that's why I left that big space there. Let's see. That's fine. Right? So get rid of all of this up to about 14. Right? Obviously, this book is not actually every teacher's guide to technology. The asterisk in the title. Obviously, this book is not actually every teacher's guide to technology. Many teachers... Okay, so we know that's good. And now I'm going to get rid of a bit more of this space here. That's too much of a pause. So see, so that's how we find an area where we made a mistake or something and get rid of it. Okay, that's why I leave the pauses, because it's easy to see. And then blah, blah, blah. So if we wanted to, we could go through the whole thing, but hopefully you get the idea. So if you didn't, now is the time to go and do the effects, right? But please do, or well, it's better to do the noise reduction first, right? For the reasons I said earlier. The last thing we want to do is export, okay? Things like Audacity, they've imported the information, but when you're cutting in all this, it's super fast, right? It does it right away, because it's not changing the file, okay? It's just got the information from the file, and it's got that in memory, and it's changing, right, as you delete things or do the effects. But until you export it, you don't have a changed file. So I'm going to go to export. I like to use MP3 just because I know it'll work anywhere. Okay, so now I've got my, this is the reading I'm going to call it. And you see my standard quality here, right? It's just voice. You could go lower if you wanted to, right? The variable speed, don't worry about that. These are probably, don't worry about these, probably preset. That's what this is. You know, voice doesn't need a lot of information per second. It's not music. If you have music, maybe go up to extreme. If space is an issue, maybe go down to medium, especially with just voice. Okay, and then just click on save. Okay, in that case, that's a thing I don't need, so I overrode it. Okay, that's it. Hopefully this is helpful.